Hi, in today's tutorial we're going to talk about the Shape tool. The Shape tool is found over here in the tool panel. It's right underneath the gradient, right above the pencil, this one right here. Now if you click on that, there are 8 different tools in this tool group, and any one of these might be up here in this spot in the tool panel depending on what you used last. Each shape tool has its own options, and there are some options that are common to all of them. This is the custom shape tool. When you click on the custom shape tool, the shape picker opens up. Now you can click on this arrow right here and it'll show all the different shapes that are available. This drop down menu has different categories that you can pick, or you can just pick this top one which shows all the element shapes. Let's just click on this cat right here. When you draw this cat, you can see how it changes in proportion. If you hold down the shift after you start to draw the cat or the shape, then it will stay in proportion. You also have this drop down menu over here which tells you this is unconstrained. That was unconstrained. You also have the other options of defined proportions, which will keep it in proportion. You can choose defined size, and it just draws the cat the way that the cat was built in the program. You just have to click. Now if you want to resize that, you can just click on Command or Control T and use the transform to make it bigger or smaller. And then the last thing you have there is fixed size, and here you can actually put in the size that you want. I have 2 inches wide by 4 inches high. That's going to look a little bit weird. Here you also have the styles if you want to put a style on it, and you can pick a color. And this box here will draw it from the center. If we click on that, it draws right from the center. This is the rectangle tool. You can draw up here and it'll draw your rectangle, or if you hold down the shift after you start drawing, it'll do a perfect square. And you have this same drop down menu. You can have unconstrained, you can have a square which will draw a perfect square. You can have the fixed size where you can put in a size here that you want, the width and height. You can also have proportional. Now 1 to 1 will be a square, 1 to 2 will be a rectangle. You can also draw from the center, or you can use this snap. Now let me show you what snap does. Let's enlarge this just a little bit. You can see I drew this rectangle with the snap unchecked. You can see that it's anti-aliased. This is called anti-aliased. If you click on this snap, it'll snap right to the pixels that are in your artwork. So let's draw another rectangle right here, and you can see the difference. See how nice and sharp that is? That's with the snap on because it's snapping right to the pixel edges. This isn't. These shape layers are vector based, and you can see that over here. It's got the little square down here in the icon. Vector images are mathematical calculations from one point to another that form lines and shapes. So they don't exactly snap right to the different pixels like this one does. And that's why you get this anti-aliasing around the edge. Now when you're at 100%, let's just make this 100%. You can see up there we're at 52%. Let's enlarge that to 100% and see, you can't really tell the difference. I just wanted to make you aware of that snap and what it does. Now let's go back to see the full screen. Let's talk about these for a minute. Okay, let's get rid of these shapes that we have up here. And we'll just draw another rectangle. The default is this one right here, which is the create a new shape. This one will combine shapes. And you can see when I draw a new shape on here, it gives us a new layer. So it'll draw every shape on its own layer. Now if you click this one right here, this will add to the shape. So let's add to this shape right here. If we draw it, you can see that it added it right to that same layer. This one will subtract from the layer. So let's, and you can see it's got the little minus sign right there by the cursor. We'll just subtract that one out of there. Let's use this shape right down here, and let's do the intersect. This is intersection. So now if I draw another shape, it's going to intersect. So it's just going to use this part right here. If you click on this one, this excludes the overlapping sections. So let's just draw a square on here, and it will exclude the parts that are overlapping. That's what these all do, and those are common to all of them. Simplify will turn your vector shape into a raster image. But make sure that you have it the size that you want before you simplify it, because if you simplify it and then you change the size, you can lose quality. So let's get rid of all these layers. Start new. Okay, this next one right here is the rounded corner. And it has the same, a lot of the same options that the regular rectangle had, except it has this right here, this radius. That'll tell you how rounded the corners are going to be. You can see when I draw this one, the corners aren't very rounded because I only have 10 pixels in there as the radius. If we enlarge that, you can see that it's only 10 pixels. If we change that to, let's say, 50 pixels, and draw a rectangle right next to it, you can see how rounded that is compared to the 10. You can go up almost as high as you want. Let's go to 900 and it's almost a circle. So that's what the radius does. Let's get rid of those. This is the oval. You can draw the oval. If you start drawing and you hold down the shift, it'll make a perfect circle, or you can use the drop down menu. It's pretty much the same as the rectangle and the rounded rectangle, just an oval. Let's get rid of those. This is the Polygon Tool. If you click on the Polygon Tool, you can see right here that it says sides. Here you can pick how many sides you want. We have 5 in there, so as you draw it, it has 5 sides, and you can rotate it around as you're drawing. You can pick some more sides. Let's pick 10. You have a 10-sided polygon. If you pick 3, you can have a triangle. You can have anywhere from 3 to 100 sides in your shape. Smooth corners will smooth out these corners right here, creating a different kind of shape. Let's get rid of those. This is the star tool. The options for the star tool will let you decide how many sides or points it has, the indent, and you can smooth the indents or the corners. Let me show you how that works. We have right now 8 sides, so I have an 8-sided star. Now, this right here is the indent. So if right now we have 50%. If I change that to 10%, you can see how it made that indent much smaller. You can change it to 90%. That indent is much larger. So that's what the indent does. Let's smooth the indents. Let me show you what that does. Let's put this back to 50. And let's smooth the indent. You can see how it smoothed that. If we click that off and smooth the corners, that's going to create a whole different shape. And if you do both of them, you get this kind of a shape. Let's just add some points to this. Let's go up to like 40. You can get a starburst. Depending on your indents, let's change the indents. Let's go up to about 70 on the indent. Let's take it down to 10 for the indent. You can see that. Different shapes. You can modify it as much as you want. Let's get rid of all of those. Let's go to the line tool. When you click on that, you get these options. This is the width of your line. So this is 10 pixels. If you draw your line, now you can see you can draw your line anywhere you want, but if you hold down the shift, it will constrain it to 45-degree angles, so you can get it exactly straight. We have here an arrowhead on the end. You can have no arrowhead at all, and we'll do that right now. You can change this. If I change this to 50, now you have a 50 pixel wide line. So you can make your line any width you want. Now let's talk about these arrowheads. If you have an arrowhead at the start, that's like this one right there. And you can see that this arrowhead is much bigger than that arrowhead. That's because of these options down here. We have a thicker line, so our arrowhead's going to be bigger. You can see that I have 500% in the width and 500% in the length. That determines this is the width and this is the length of your arrowhead. If we put the width at, let's say, 200% and draw it, you can see that the width here is much smaller than that one. If we change this to, let's say, 800, it's going to lengthen out that arrowhead. Let's go back to 500 and 500. And I'm going to show you what this is. It controls how concave or convex this area right here is. And it can go from -50 to +50. If you click and start to draw, there's the -50. And if you go to +50, it makes that area much more convex. So that's how you can change the look of your arrows. And of course you can have, that was at the beginning, here's at the end, or you can make it at both ends. Okay, let's get rid of all those layers. We're done with those. Let's go back to the rectangle. If you draw your rectangle, you draw another rectangle. Let's combine these rectangles. Combine these rectangles. Now they're both on the same layer and they're combined, but they're still separated. And you can click on this tool right here, which is the selection tool, and you can still select each rectangle and move it around. It's not like the marquee tool. If you have the marquee tool and you draw the marquee and then you click on this down here to add, it actually changes that marquee shape and you can't go back and change it. The shapes aren't like that. Let's go back to the shape. You can still move it around and change it a little bit until you hit this combine. As soon as you hit combine, now it's all one shape. So those are the shape tools. Here's some examples. I was just playing around what you can do with the shape tool. Here I made a little icon. I used the polygonal tool, put a letter in there, used the rectangle tool, put some layer styles on it, with a stroke and a bevel and a drop shadow. Here's some different shapes I made using the star tool, the ellipse tool. Just added a gradient, added a stroke around it, put a bevel on the stars, and this one I used the star tool, and I had the indents in the corners. I made these gears. So I was just playing around. So those are some of the things that you can do with the shape tools. Play with them and see what you can do. Experiment. You can make all kinds of different shapes and different things that you can use in your art using these shape tools. So that's it for this time, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.